Somebody should be investigating the Canadian government for the number of excess deaths that have been caused by the incredible strain on our healthcare system. I personally know two people in my own family who wound up dead due to our healthcare system being incredibly slow. They both had cancer and they were dealt with so incredibly slowly by Canada's public healthcare system that incredibly sadly they both wound up dying prematurely when they absolutely did not have to. And I think to myself, how many Canadians have a similar story? No family members that wound up dead because our free public healthcare system is so overrun. How can you possibly justify allowing 7 million immigrants in your country, increasing the population by nearly 30% in under a decade when your public health services are already overwhelmed? The Liberals should be looked into and they should be charged. It is not an exaggeration to say that there is blood on their hands. The number of Canadians who are dead due to the fact that we have an overwhelmed healthcare system. Any Canadian who has dealt with the healthcare system on any basis knows what a disaster it is. And there are so many reports how immigrants who come from countries where they don't have public health care available to them will abuse our system. If you have an emergency, you absolutely must go to the emergency room, Canada. Otherwise, you will not get dealt with for weeks. You must go to the emergency room. But we're seeing more and more reports, and the data is backing this up, that even when you go to the emergency room, in many cases, people are having to wait 24, 30 hours because we don't have enough doctors. We don't have enough medical staff. Our system is overrun. Only 1 in 6 immigrants are considered high skill. 5 in 6 are medium or low skill. How can you possibly justify allowing hundreds of thousands of new people into the country every year when our basic systems clearly cannot manage it? And this is not in dispute. This is publicly available data from the government of Canada telling us how slow our system is. And if the government's doing anything, it's jigging the numbers in our favor. Now, the Liberals during COVID told Conservatives how they were killing people by going outside. And if you were skeptical of the vaccine whatsoever, you were some sort of a sociopath who wanted people dead. Well, this strikes me as an incredibly black and white issue and more definitive, less of an argument here. Is there any question that if your public healthcare system is overwhelmed and you continue to allow hundreds of thousands more people into the country? We just sent out a newsletter to 18,000 immigrants, I kid you not, telling them to invite their grandparents to the country. These are people who haven't paid anything into the system, and we know definitively they're at the age where they're going to need healthcare. To act as though this is anything but an intentional sabotage of this country is total BS. And the Liberal elites, we know they can pay for their own private healthcare. I'm sure Mark Carney goes to the States for his healthcare, just like 99.5% of his investments are in the U.S. He doesn't care. It doesn't affect him. It doesn't affect the Liberal elites. It's middle and lower class Canadians who get screwed by the Liberals every day. People should seriously look into where we can go after these guys legally, because it is not a stretch of the imagination to say blood is on their hands by the immigration policies that are overwhelmed our housing, overwhelmed our healthcare system, overwhelmed all public services that are already run so incredibly poorly by the Liberals. It's ironic because the Liberals, who are so pro-government, run our government so inefficiently. It's truly sad. It's pathetic. We need to stand up against this tyrannical government we now have headed up by globalist Mark Carney. If you're interested in supporting me, hit the link in my bio, grab some awesome gear I have, donate. I'm setting up rallies in the Ottawa area over the next couple of weeks. When Parliament gets back in session in September, we're going to make some noise up on Parliament Hill. But seriously, we need to look into how we can go after our government, because there is a lot of Canadian blood on their hands.